What's up, everybody? Welcome to Super Retro, a nostalgic podcast about retro gaming, TV and film, pop culture, anything dope from the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s. I'm your host, Tuck. That's your host, Will.
What's up?
Speaking of Will, it's his motherfucking birthday. Give Will a happy birthday, y'all.
Podcast on the birthday, bro.
Yes, sir. I'm honestly pretty surprised you showed up and you were like, let's do it.
Yeah, well, I'm off tomorrow, so, you know, it all
Yeah,
works.
it's Memorial Day tomorrow.
So,
and, so, I mean, why not?
Yeah, and the kids are asleep.
Kids are sleeping. Wife's good.
Yeah, we're good.
He's here, y'all.
It's only a little road.
Looking fresh. What you got going on? Look, he got the little Hunter S. Thompson from Louisville, Kentucky, as are we. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Hunter S.
I want to get that hat, bro.
What is that hat?
It says Kona.
I saw that. I was trying to side eye.
I was like,
does that say NASA?
No, you know how big of that'd be a cool flex to be like, Hunter wore this in an obscure time when he's just chilling in an island.
Yeah, is he on a boat or something?
He's chilling, bro. He's
on a sailboat. What's in his hand?
He's got that lay like he's in Hawaii.
What the hell is that in his hand?
I bet it's Hawaii.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, man.
Hunter S. Thompson's a
wild dude.
From Louisville, Kentucky. His birth house is
it's like a famous house here.
It's on the corner. Yeah. In the Highlands.
It's pretty cool that it's a famous house in Louisville. Like, dude, you get pretty big.
Yeah.
If you get big enough to where they like look at your house, you're all right.
If they're seeking out your boyhood home
and just staring
you're
at
famous.
It, like
yeah, you just take a picture of it.
People are just going to his house, staring at his house, bro. Like,
that's famous. Yeah. Also, you know, Muhammad Ali from Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I don't know where this is going, but Muhammad Ali.
This is our first bit.
Yeah, but anyway, let's do some shout outs, y'all. We had another subscriber on TikTok, which is awesome.
Slowly building.
We are building a little family. You guys are getting,
of retro misfits.
Yeah, you're getting our outtakes. You're getting our funny pieces because you know what's funny, weirdly enough, that the comedy videos or the funnier the video that we do, if it's not really related to a topic, it does not do well. Mm-mm. Isn't that weird? Because I'll look at this shit and be like, that is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, some of my favorite videos of ours of us just messing up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like the one with me reading the teleprompter. That is an all-time classic video. Yeah. And it just,
But like we said, man, who cares?
I don't care.
Whatever. We like putting out the content we put out.
That's right.
Like whether it does great or, we don't try to just repeat it.
That's right. So let's give a shout out to our newest subscriber. And this isn't why I'm shouting him out. He just sent a real dope message to us. This is what he said. His name is Kyle McDaniel. He said, "Yo, love the podcast. Keep up the greatness. Your buddy Daniel Mitchell suggested me to y'all's podcast, and I've watched them all at work.
That's awesome.
I believe me and Will work together, but it's a great podcast. But Tuck, there's one episode you all did, the TMT, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you showed a signed copy and then tossed it on the table, and that hurt my heart. Laugh out loud. But keep up the good work. Y'all got me hooked. I wasn't born in the 80s, but I lived them with my pops. Had all the systems, and I took them over growing up. Much respect. Just don't throw the game again." So
that's pretty cool.
That's good, man.
That's
funny.
My buddy. Yeah, Daniel.
That's super personal. Like he listens to the podcast for real. He watches the podcast for real and saw me through the game. But what I think you maybe didn't see is that there's a table here, but it's like an ottoman.
Yeah.
It's soft.
Believe me. He's not letting that game.
I'm not throwing them shits on a hard table.
He's not letting that game,
especially. Ain't no way. Not that one. That's one of our prize pieces.
Yeah, just because we love Ninja Turtles so much.
It definitely could have looked like it for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that shout out. Anybody? We had a couple more. Let me tell you what Will did.
Yeah, go ahead and let that out.
Look, so over a few. So literally like the day after we do a podcast, we start a brand new note and call it what episode it is.
Yeah.
And
just start shooting ideas.
And so I know we've talked about this pretty much every last few podcasts. Once it builds up to that spot, we give each other the thumbs up, the green light, like, all right, we're ready to go.
Yeah. Which
we literally just did that yesterday for tonight. We're like, all right, the notes look good. We got enough. Let's do it. Well, we were almost to that point. This was like on Friday. Was this Thursday or Friday?
Thursday, I think.
Are you sure?
Might have been Friday, yeah.
It was Thursday or Friday.
It was
and
Friday.
Today is Sunday, the Sunday before Memorial Day.
It was definitely Friday.
On Friday, Will deleted all of the notes, like all of them.
Yeah, I was at work in there just fucking copy pasting some info I needed and just boop. It was rough.
I've done stuff like this, so I can't really judge him.
And I even tried to hit an undo button that we have, and it just crashed the whole system. And when it did that, I was like, oh, no, it didn't. Because all I saw was the paragraph I just wrote. I was like, bro, what? Hold on, undo. And it just went, shh.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my God, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I called you immediately.
Yeah, he did. He called me hurt.
I was like, bro, I think I just deleted all of the notes.
Yeah, it happens.
And I had just done like 3 topics worth of info, just going like crazy.
But yeah, shit happens, and I think we got him back, and it also inspired some other stuff.
Yeah,
so.
that's what's cool.
All right, well, let's hop right into this thing, y'all. The first thing that I want to talk about, and recently we covered Michael J. Fox.
On the Who Ran the 80s segment.
On the Who Ran the 80s segment.
Go check that out.
Yeah, it's on our TikTok page exclusively. No, I think I put it on Instagram too. But this came up, this topic we're about to talk about in
doing
conversation.
research on Back to the Future.
Will mentioned it. He mentioned that Michael J. Fox wasn't the first person to play
Marty
McFly in Back to the Future, that another actor had actually filmed like 6, it actually was 7 weeks of filming before.
So they were in it.
So I was like, no way, I've never heard that story. And this is a thing, a lot of people know it, maybe all of you do, but I had no idea. Maybe I had heard it at some point, but I did not know this. So without further ado, let's get right into it, y'all. Let me tell you about the time that someone else played Marty McFly in Back to the Future and even got 7 weeks into filming before he was ultimately fired and replaced with Michael J. Fox, of course.
How crazy.
His name is Eric Stoltz, all right? Robert Zemeckis is the director. He wanted Michael J. Fox, but he was busy filming Family Ties in the morning and Teen Wolf in the afternoon type shit, right, Will?
Yeah. He was doing them all 3 at one point.
So he couldn't commit to a movie like that. I believe he wanted to, he just couldn't commit. And other actors that auditioned for the role of Marty McFly were Johnny Depp, John Cusack, Ralph Macchio, Matthew Broderick, and Charlie Sheen.
Those are all dudes who ran the 80s.
Heavyweights right there. Like heavyweights right there. But the head of the studio that was, bankrolling the...
That's how it always happens, bro.
The bankrolling the film was like, no.
I got a guy.
Eric Stoltz.
Even if it's the wrong guy.
And it's not like he was a slouch, because you remember that movie, The Mask?
Mm-hmm.
The dude that had the face deformity?
Mm-hmm.
He was that guy.
Yeah, that movie's crazy.
He played that guy, so he was like, obviously could prove himself as an actor, but that was a more serious role.
That was serious as fuck.
Zemeckis did not want Stoltz to play the role. He did not think that he had the comedic chops and the right timing and the playfulness.
I could see that.
To play
cool.
Marty McFly.
You gotta be cool and funny.
Yeah, because think about how kind of clumsy and just with the flow Michael J. Fox was.
Yeah.
He was just had this fun youth about him.
And he could just play cool. Bro, he went back in time and was cool.
Yeah, exactly.
His mom wanted him, bro. He went back in time and almost stole his mom from his dad.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's how cool he was.
Yeah.
I don't think Eric Stoltz had that.
Yeah, he was too serious. He was approaching the role as if it was like a sci-fi drama or something. When right from the get-go, if you read the script, that they wanted to be fun.
They wrote it for Marty, bro.
And it's a comedy.
Michael J. Fox.
A sci-fi comedy. And this guy just could not pull that off. And basically Stoltz, he was more dramatic, and Eric Stoltz went on to play, in Pulp Fiction, when John Travolta brings Mia Wallace, ODing to the house.
Yeah, he's the guy that goes and stabs her.
He's the guy. He's like, the day I bring an ODing bitch.
Yeah, I watched him.
He's the heroin dealer.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
He tells them.
He says the day I bring a ODing bitch to your house is the day I give her the shot. You give her the shot.
Yeah, he makes him shoot.
He makes John Travolta give her the shot.
Bro.
That's the same guy.
That's a good scene.
That's a great scene. So clearly, dude's a good actor.
He went on to have a good career, man.
he was even nominated for a Golden Globe from his performance on The Mask.
Yeah, come on.
But just a few weeks into recording, Zemeckis' doubts were confirmed. He started having these feelings like, I was right. You know, he didn't want him at first, and then he was like, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna give him a shot. He started having these feelings. This ain't right.
Something's wrong.
This ain't right. This is off. It's not working. But he was going to try to make the movie work anyway because there were some other great actors in it. So he thought that they could pull it off.
Yeah. You think the other guys could carry him?
Yeah, that's kind of what he was thinking.
But you can't carry your lead, man.
On top of Zemeckis already doubting if he was the right person for the role, he started butting heads with Zemeckis and the other cast members. The dude that played Biff, there was a scene where Marty fights Biff, punches him and pushes him in the diner. Well, Eric Stoltz was doing it, and he was like pushing him way too hard, over and over and over. He kept like pushing him like a man push, pushing the shit out of him. And this dude was 6 foot by the way.
Why you gonna treat Biff like that?
Yeah, and so Biff, or whoever the actor was that played Biff, was getting annoyed by it and was like, "Yo, stop pushing me so hard."
Yeah.
And he kept doing it. And and Stoltz, was always trying to change the approach to the scenes that Zemeckis was trying to tell him to
trying to do some freestyle shit.
Yeah, and he's like, that's not what we're doing here. You know, like stick.
Wrong movie, bro.
Yeah, stick to the script.
Yeah.
So
Michael J. Fox seems more like a guy that would, play the straight and narrow.
Yeah. So let me tell you what Zemeckis started doing. Zemeckis started when they would film before. This was 4 or 5 weeks in. The shoots were still on schedule. They still had to show up and shoot, even though he was thinking in his head, I'm going to try to replace him. So he was getting tight-ass shots on the other parts, knowing the whole time that if he could get him replaced, he could just shoot different scenes with Michael J. Fox and use the other footage.
Yeah, the footage.
He wouldn't have to get as much footage.
Yeah.
So he's wild for that. He was cool. He was planning.
He's like, hold on, I'm gonna go film this scene over here.
Yeah, you
with
guys keep doing that.
Her and Biff and somebody else.
Eric, you just take a seat for a minute.
I got a scene. He probably skipped scenes like it was in the head of his. On his list was like, well, I can go do these 5.
Yep. Which is crazy. I read that the parking lot scene where the car takes off for the first time, there's a lot of scenes in that were filmed when Eric Stoltz was.
Oh, I bet.
The first.
Yeah, you have no idea. At that moment when they filmed that, he was in it.
Yep. And then they brought Michael J. Fox out there and got just the shots they needed for Michael J. Fox, which is wild.
I don't even like knowing shit like that. It sort of ruins movies for me.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of cool, though. He was able to piece together what he had and then figure out what he needed. It was like kind of going back to the future.
No, yeah.
Or
he can make a fucking.
He was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he uses all of that stuff and puts it in the order he needed to put it in.
Yeah, Zemeckis called in Steven Spielberg to watch some of the footage. He brought the big dog in. He's like, look, he compiled the footage he had to show Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg confirmed Zemeckis's doubts. And he was like, he's not the guy.
Yeah.
This isn't working.
We got to fire the guy.
Yeah. So, let's see. Later that same night, Stoltz was on the scene of the parking lot, the one we were just talking about, the parking lot scene where they they go back to the future for the first time.
That's
where he goes 88 miles an hour.
Infamous scene, bro.
And he was fired that night on that scene. Zemeckis showed up that night and let him go. And then they finished shooting, and then Michael J. Fox was able. His obligations had slowed down by that time, and so he got on board. He
had enough time, yeah.
And
that's cool, bro.
That was good. Eric Stoltz would have played it, and I've actually seen some of the footage. Which
I have too.
I was watching it thinking that it was a scene in the movie. It just didn't have, like I felt like the dude was a background guy.
Yeah,
he looked like a background guy.
Yeah, it didn't look right.
It did not look right at all.
Yeah, I watched it and was like, hold on. It made me look at think it was fake.
Yeah, it felt weird.
Yeah.
So, his energy was perfect. Michael J. Fox's energy was perfect. Can you imagine it without it?
Nobody can.
I want to give credit to a video I was watching. This isn't my original thought, but this guy said something that I completely agree with. He was like, can you imagine Eric Stoltz sliding across the hood of the car? Because there's a scene when Michael J. Fox just crosses the street and there's a car in his way, and he just jumps and slides over the hood and keeps walking.
Yeah.
Like some cool ass silly shit, you
There's
know?
no way.
The dude Stoltz, he like denied a couple of those scenes. He was like, no, I'm not gonna. Why would I trip? I know how to walk. It's like, bro, because they're trying to humanize you.
Yeah. And your dad is goofy like that.
Yeah.
It's like a hereditary.
You're
hereditary
young
thing.
and silly, and
Yeah.
you're not serious, bro. But yeah, can you imagine
The world without Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly.
Pee Wee Herman, y'all? Pee Wee's Big Adventure. How nostalgic is that movie right there?
It was wild for being 1985.
The shit's wild. Oh, it did not come out before. This did not come out before the TV show.
So
I lied to you.
How we messed that up? I looked at it.
I did too.
You showed me.
I did too.
See, I knew there was no way.
This shit, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I dug into it today. Like, there's no fucking way.
Like, there's no way you get a movie, a big movie, without having some kind of like grassroots TV or some pump
That's
behind
right.
you.
The character existed 5 years before it came out.
Okay, cool.
So, all right, cool. I don't know where we were, but anyway, Pee Wee's Big Adventure is directed by Tim Burton, and it's actually his directorial debut.
Bro.
Did not know this. I did not know it was his debut.
That's a big like risk.
It's a big risk. Now, let me tell you why. I'm going to go right into it. Fuck it. Let me tell you why Tim Burton directed this film. Paul Rubin, which is Pee Wee Herman, he wrote Pee Wee Herman, by the way, with Phil Hartman from Saturday Night Live. They conceived the whole thing together, and they wrote the TV show and the movie together. There was another guy, but I don't know what his name is, which is awesome, by the way. But the studio that was backing Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure did not want... Oh, no. Paul Rubin turned in a list of like 6 director names to the studio. Who he wanted to direct the film, because he's not a director. He just wrote it and he was going to act in it. And the studio turned down every single name on the list.
Wow.
He's like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And they were trying to pick somebody else that he didn't approve of, or even, he didn't want him on the project. So Paul Rubin put his foot down, like, fuck it. We won't film this thing.
Yeah.
If I can't
I'm not doing it.
This is my baby. You know what I mean? Like, this is my baby.
They're not just going to hand me some guy.
So in that meantime, Paul Rubin had gotten a short film that Tim Burton had done, sent to him from a mutual friend or something, and watched it and was like, this is my guy. This is my guy.
So
I don't
crazy.
care. He's like, I don't care if he hasn't directed a film, a long film or a feature length.
Film.
He's like, this is my guy. And Tim Burton, 26 years old.
That's crazy.
26 years old when he did Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Bro, can you imagine doing something that amazing?
Well, it had a long life for it.
And here's the thing. The studio didn't even believe in... I don't know... Honestly, I don't know why they even put the money up to make the movie, because when they rolled it out, they did a slow roll as compared to their other films where they would just blast all the movie theaters and do a big marketing thing.
They wanted to see if this was
They did
catch.
a slow roll because they thought it was a weird film, which it
is
weird, but it's also awesome in
I was
a weird
young
way.
when I watched it.
And the response at the movie theaters was so huge that they were like, oh. And they just blasted it out after it got great reviews.
They were like, flood the market.
Oh, yeah, they were right. Paul was right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul. You know how it is, how that corporate bullshit is. But it had a $7 million budget, and here in a bit, we'll talk about how much it brought in, which is great. I love a good success story, which, I know a $7 million budget in 1985 was pretty significant.
That's pretty good.
So it's not like they didn't put the money up.
No.
They were trying to make a good film here, but when they got their hands on it, they were like, this shit's weird, which, whatever. It was released August 9th, 1985. Here's what Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure is about. Pee Wee Herman, who is Paul Rubin, is an eccentric, childlike man that loves his red bicycle and will not sell it to his envious neighbor, Francis. While Pee Wee visits his friend Dottie, the bike is stolen. Thinking his bike is at the Alamo, Pee-wee sets off on a trip where he meets many remarkable people, including waitress Simone and a motorcycle gang. Eventually, Pee-wee discovers that his bike is being used in the movie and tries to recover it. That's basically the plot. That's the word I was looking for. That's the plot of the whole movie. Pee-wee trying to get his damn bike back. I can't tell you how much I love this movie. If you watch it for just 30 seconds, you'll see all kinds of shit. And you'll be like, weird. Oh my God. Like the breakfast scene at the beginning, the Rube Goldberg, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? A Rube Goldberg cooking him breakfast.
Yeah, I love some pure 80s nostalgia. You know what I mean? Just that.
And you know another thing.
Because there's all kinds of movies that have some form of that Rube Goldberg type experiment.
Just like
Goonies had it.
Off the wall type shit.
Freaking Back to the Future had it. Yeah. Like a bunch of movies like throw that in there.
Yeah.
It looks futuristic.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Make a shoe, kick something and start coffee. You know what I mean? Like
he had pancakes, like a chicken smacking an egg. Yeah.
That was a good that whole movie, and like because that movie, it was huge when it came out.
It was.
Like, and everyone watched it.
And you know when on that breakfast scene, he's eating Mr. T cereal.
Yeah.
Remember we've talked about Mr. T cereal? But yeah, man, Pee Wee Herman and the Large Marge scene, y'all. Bro. Listen to this. The Large Marge scene was almost cut from the film because Tim Burton was like, damn, that's pretty scary. It doesn't really have a place in my lighthearted, silly, weird comedy.
It's so good, man.
How much did that scare you?
To me, though, like when I think of that movie, that's almost the very first thing I think about.
I agree with that.
Like
I think of that breakfast scene.
I think of a lot of him riding the bike. I see a visual of that.
Yep.
And then I see Large Marge.
And him tap dancing on the bar.
Yeah, tell him Large Marge sent you. And then, bro, we said that for years.
There's a lot of quotes.
Bro, I'm talking about all of my buddies and people in my little culture. A little clique of when I grew up, we all said that.
Absolutely.
Tell them Large Marge sent you. You know how many times you heard that as a kid?
And can you imagine it without it?
No, it was so good.
He said he was so close to cutting it. And that would suck. And it really is.
That scene, bro. It's so funny to me.
There is like a big horror film website. I forgot. I didn't even write it down in here. But they voted it number 5 on the scariest moments in a non-horror film.
It's because he gets down the road and he's like, yeah, Large Marge. Mm-hmm. And they're like, she's been dead for however many years.
And if you go back and watch Beetlejuice, there's some of that shit in Beetlejuice. You can tell Tim Burton did that shit.
He just got a ride from a ghost.
The whole time, yeah. She was not real.
That's so great.
But, you know, Tim Burton, I mean, and think about taking Tim Burton away from that movie.
No.
What would it have been? How would it have been?
Like, you know, that little scene, Large Marge, is basically who Tim Burton really is. You know what I mean? Like, he was doing all this
He's like, I'm going to get it in
I'm going to do this PG shit for this dude.
But I love that Pee Wee Herman was so weird, but yet so likable at the same time. Yeah. It's like anyone else other than Tim Burton would have made it corny.
Yep, for sure.
Well, they would have made it corny.
Because like Pee Wee Herman was so eccentric and like out there that it could have come off.
He needed a director like that.
Yeah, it could have come off as bad.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And Pee Wee Herman, people were even, no matter what, people were like, he's a weird, but I like him.
Exactly. I love that shit.
I'm going to watch where he goes. I'm going to see what, it's like almost like a weird Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? You get to watch this adventure. This dude goes on and meets all these crazy people.
By the time this movie was finished at the box office, it had made $41 million.
Off of that
off of the $7 million budget. That is a success, especially when the studio was like pulling the reins back a bit when they first released it. They probably thought they had a bomb on their hands or a lemon, you know?
Yeah, it was definitely a risk to do this.
And they were like, all right, well, this shit worked out. So $41 million in 1985. I'd like to see the equivalent. Somebody do the math on that. Inflation.
They were immediately calling Paul Rubens and being like, hey, what else you got?
For sure.
Like, and then part 2?
And then Tim Burton went on to do Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman Returns and all the other shit he did. Which, by the way, I know this wasn't about Tim Burton, but think about how timeless his movies are.
Yeah.
They really are timeless. That's why when I was thinking about Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I was like, when That came out late 80s. That was late 80s. No. It was filmed in like 84 and released in 85.
I know it.
It does not feel like that.
No.
Even if you go back and watch it now, it feels like, 1990 or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, he found a lane.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he crushed it.
He really did.
He's like, this is the way I like to tell stories, and that's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like every movie, it's how he wants to tell it.
And, Batman, the Batmans he made, I know we talk about Batman on here a lot, but God, I feel like 100 years from now, you'll be able to watch that movie and be like, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, I
It's a
like
good story.
it. All right, y'all. So recently we did a video about In Too Deep and the song Back to the Hotel.
Man.
Which is, I love that video, by the way. I love it.
It's good.
But in the video, I mentioned that they were from Texas.
We only do certain amount of research on certain topics.
Well, that one was completely organic. The song just came up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, them dudes are from Texas. And then it was like, no, they're not. And then I was like, no, wait a minute.
You even checked yourself,
I said they're from Oakland, which I feel like I should get some credit because In Too Deep
I mean, you was close.
is from Vallejo, California. And if you look on the map, they're right there together.
Yeah.
They're both in the Bay Area out there near San Francisco.
Definitely better
or
than
whatever.
Texas.
It's way better in Texas. But, whatever. So I wanted to give Vallejo a little bit of love since, everyone came into the comments and was checking me. But for the most part, people were cool about it. So I wanted to make it up and talk about one of the most iconic and most influential hip-hop artists of our generation. And he's inspired so many people in hip hop right now, and even the way that people that are in hip hop and even kids from the suburbs don't realize it, that he has inspired the way they speak to each other. Who am I talking about? Earl Stevens, aka E40, y'all.
E40.
One of the best to ever do it, from Vallejo, California. I think you say it Vallejo. Vallejo, California.
Yeah, you can tell where we're from.
Yeah, E40 from Vallejo,
We're from
California.
Kentucky.
We're from Kentucky, y'all.
He brought his own style. And he didn't give a shit if you like that was his style.
That's right.
He didn't even care if it was a thing yet.
He did not.
I'm going to make it a thing.
It's
like his rap style's different. The terms he says and stuff. Like he has his own little language.
He may be the most original hip hop artist.
Yeah, he didn't try to be like anybody
of all time.
And you hear him and you're like, oh, that's E40.
Yeah.
Like and when I was a kid, immediately knew any E40 song. Like
the majority of hip hop artists, specifically at that time, because it was still fresh. Hip hop in the early '90s.
Yeah, he was early.
With is what I'm going to talk about.
He's one of the OGs, bro.
In the early 90s, it was so fresh. It was only like 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Hip hop in general. So
he was early, man.
So the patterns weren't there. This guy was as original as it gets in something that was so young and still stands the test of time today. Yeah. Like if anybody tried to sound like that, you'd be like, get that shit out of here.
You can't really copy him. It's hard.
No, you can't copy him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to do what he does.
So he's hailing from Vallejo, California. He's the king of the Bay Area slang. All right. And let me tell you, if he didn't make these up, he popularized them. All right. Listen to these words. Hella came from E40.
Used by a lot of people now.
Exactly. You smell me. I say that all the time.
A lot of people do.
Fasheezy. How many kids from the suburbs have said Fasheezy, mom, or for show, whatever? Both of them came from the Bay Area and Vallejo. And got me bent, gassed, biatch came from him and Too Short.
For show? That might be the most famous one up there.
Yep, those came from E40, and those came from from Vallejo, California. He inspired those. He brought them out to the mainstream. But what I really want to talk about, we could go on for days about E40 and how he became E40. But what I want to talk about is his album in a major way. The album cover is iconic. It was released March 14th, 1995 on Sick With It Records and Jive Records. The album peaked at number 13 on the Billboard 200. The Source only gave it 3.5 mics.
How dare you?
How dare you, out of 5. I think you need to go back and listen to it. In a Major Way by E40 is one of the best hip-hop albums of the 90s, hands down.
I mean, look at those songs, bro.
Dude, Sprinkle Me is a classic song.
It is.
What pissed me off back in the day, this shit came out in 1995. What pissed me off is they used to do this all the time. They would do different versions for the videos.
Yeah.
And then those were just on the video, and you couldn't get that recording anywhere.
Yeah, then the album come out and it'd be different.
It'd be different. So there's a version of Sprinkle Me that has his sister, which is Sugar T, singing a part on there. What'd she say? If you want to hear some of this G-A-M-E, say 40 water, won't you sprinkle me?
It's not on
That is not on the album. You might think it is. Get it in a Major Way and turn Sprinkle Me on.
Somebody
tell me if that part's
it.
on there. It's not on
So you can
there.
only look it up online?
You got to watch the video.
Yeah.
It's in the video.
That's cool.
That's how much I love E40's in a Major Way
he's
album.
mad about
I know
that.
the differences, and I'm mad about that. Also, Dusted and Disgusted,
Man.
which is a song with Tupac on it.
Tupac kills it.
Spice One, Mac Mall, which Mac Mall's another one from Vallejo, California. Tupac. Dude, I loved that song so much and that verse so much. I literally wrote all the lyrics down on a piece of paper so I could know them and learned it and just used to do it, used to rap along with it. So, yeah, I know all the lyrics.
Great feature.
Amazing feature.
Like, I'm going to get Tupac.
He was in jail. Tupac was incarcerated when they shot the video for that song, and they replaced him. Shit, who did they replace him with? Celly Cell. Remember Celly Cell? It's Going Down Tonight?
Yeah.
They replaced him with Celly Cell, so I can't even recall that version.
No.
I don't even know if I heard that version, but apparently it was, they replaced him for the video. But you can't replace Tupac, man.
No.
Come on. And then there's Sideways, that brrr, you know what I'm talking about, that whistling at the end, and that iconic, Santa, do you know E40?
Yeah.
Love that part. And then One Love. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
That was a banger, like every song on this album. And he also had his son on it, his like 10-year-old, 8-year-old son or something, on a song called It's All Bad. And I knew like all the lyrics to the kids rapping part. It's hilarious. I was playing it in the car yesterday, and that part came on, and I was rapping along with the kid. And I was like, this is too funny.
Now
I
that
know all
dude's
this
our
shit.
age.
Yeah, definitely. That dude's definitely our age now.
Shit.
Anyway, it's time for y'all to put some damn respect on Earl Stevens, a.k.a. E40's name.
Man.
That man is a living legend.
Hey, the first time I heard him wasn't even his solo stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Click.
The Click. He's a founding member of the Click.
The Click was huge to me when I was a kid.
I love the Click.
Yeah.
Hurricane, stun, you can start an engine,
Yeah,
man.
you can call me Slurricane.
Yeah, I love that
Like
shit.
that song was jam.
They
Like,
had
all the Click, that whole album.
they had a hit with Captain Save-A-Ho. That was a good one.
Man, I like that. That whole Click album is classic to me.
The one that has Hurricane on it?
Yeah.
That's a good one, too. The beats are sick. I need to look a little more into who did the production on that album, because I
it
always
was
do
unique,
that.
bro.
It really was. Like, all
They
of
had
their
a
shit.
sound, man.
And when I did look at who produced it in a major way to see if I knew anybody, and the same guy produced quite a bit of them.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of the songs.
It's probably,
You can
he
tell.
was probably their guy.
You can tell. But yeah, E40, y'all.
Shout out.
I'm telling you.
He's one of the OGs, bro.
He is one of the OGs, and what's funny is he didn't even gain real popularity on a national level, which in a major way did end up going platinum, but it took like 9 years to go platinum.
Yeah.
But he received like his biggest notoriety when he did that song "Tell Me When to Go" that Little John produced, and it was like in 2005 or 6 or something.
Way after the fact.
Way after In a Major Way, which was released in 1995.
He's had a long career, man.
I was surprised to see that he wasn't as big as I thought he was at that time. Because to me, he was one of the biggest.
Like commercially, he wasn't.
Yeah.
It took them a while, like them and UGK, people like that, to make real
Yeah, we really were listening
mainstream waves.
Yeah, we really were listening to like some, I don't want to say underground, but like not super popular on the mainstream.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
You know, that we were tapped into that.
Big shout out to him because he's a huge San Francisco Giants fan.
I mean, back then, that's wild, bro. To think how your music could travel like that.
Yeah.
You know, you're in Vallejo, California, and you know, here we are, and before the internet,
like jamming E40.
This is before the internet.
Yeah.
We had the tapes and we had the CDs.
Like, it was cool that you could find something you liked. Like,
I know.
Didn't even have to have someone tell you it was cool.
Yeah, and you know, that's when shit had to spread. It took a while.
Your shit had to be good.
It wasn't like instantaneous like the internet. That shit grew real legs.
Yeah, like nowadays, they can pump a song up so big that you might not really love it, but you're with it because somebody told you it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like E40 was something that happened organically.
Yeah, it was as organic as it gets. And like, you know, think about now, like this Drake and Kendrick shit, they drop a song, everybody in the whole country or in the world hears it that day.
Because you had to.
Because it's there. Yeah. Everybody throws it in your face 800 times.
You could not listen to the click. Nobody. Your life went on.
Somebody had to either tell you about it or you had to see it in a store and really consider buying it, taking a chance on it.
Yep.
It was just, it doesn't get more organic than that.
Did I hear what I said? They'll watch a San Francisco Giant game and he's always in the back right by the camera.
Oh,
they
really?
show him all the time.
Yeah, I did read.
He'll be front row.
They gave him a bobblehead.
Yeah.
There's
after he did it so long, like in the beginning, that those people didn't know who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
They just saw some guy with a San Francisco Giant starter, everything. They're like, he's there every game.
Yeah, now he's like part of it.
That's E40, bro.
Who remembers Blaster Master on the NES? Man, what a game. Blaster Master is a platform and a run-and-gun video game released by Sunsoft for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in North America November of 1998. The game features a character named Jason who follows his pet frog down a hole in the earth. There he finds a tank and uses it to battle radioactive mutants. The player controls Jason and the tank Sophia the Third through 8 levels of gameplay to find the whereabouts of Fred to defeat the mutants and their leader, the Plutonium boss. The game was praised for its smooth play control and level design, detailed and clean graphics and music, and it was criticized for its high difficulty and lack of passwords or save points. Man, this game is flat out awesome, Will.
It is, man. I mean, it was one of I forgot about it.
Me too.
Until we put it in.
It didn't sell that well. It wasn't super popular. You know, you may have heard it, but did you buy it? But did you have it? Did you rent it? Probably.
That's a renter, bro. That game's a renting game.
Going back and playing this game. This, you know, I'm not ashamed. Did I play it back in the day? Absolutely. Was it hard for me? Yes. Did I probably set it aside because it was a little too hard at the time because I was so young? Probably.
That's a game I rent, and I'm like, that's a one-timer.
It is so good, dude.
I know. We played it.
Dude, yesterday I really got into playing it in depth. Got to bosses and stuff in different stages. The tank is so freaking awesome.
Bro, I played it for a while without even knowing you could jump out.
Me too. Yeah, I forgot. And then when I jumped out, I was like,
oh my God.
I remember. But, you know, that tank, the maneuverability of it and just the way it responds and how smooth it is.
It's crazy.
Dude, in 1988, that shit, bro, that was next level.
It was, man.
This game, I often talk about NES games that were kind of like before their time. This game definitely was.
Yeah.
It was like a Metroid that you could drive a tank around and it could swim. You could swim in it. You could get out of it. You could jump so high. And it acted, when you jumped, it acted like a person and then it would land.
Like a transformer.
Yeah. Dude, I love that tank. And that tank alone is what often gets it mentioned, you know, in top 50 list and stuff like it. Because when you do go to the overhead view, it does look kind of silly. Mm-hmm. Like he's got this big ass head. and it looks kind of childish.
Yeah.
Even though it is childish, but it was so serious and dark and kind of, just a deep game. And then you hop out and it's just like, oh God, it's this bobblehead. Even that though, once you kind of get past that visual, it's still super fun to play. Like I really like the game.
Just like the cool name, like in the cover art.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like, you know what I mean? Blaster Master.
It is an iconic title. I think, we have it in there. I'm going to grab it. And the cutscenes at the beginning that kind of tell the story that I had mentioned earlier about the frog jumping down in the hole. He chases the frog.
When you read that, dude, I was like, that's just such a fucking 80s game plot.
Yeah, it's so good. And the graphics that tell this story before the game start, it's just so out of it feels so weird, like it doesn't match the story, but it does.
You're like, I got an idea.
Yeah, it's so you see it, like when I put it in, I was like, oh, I put the wrong game in. Then I was like, oh wait, they're telling the story here.
Like this guy's gonna go down this hole.
And he goes down the hole, and then all of a sudden he's in like regular clothes. He goes down the hole, and then he sees the tank. And the next thing you know, he's got like a suit on, holding his helmet, like he's about to put the helmet on. It's like,
okay,
where'd you get the suit, bro?
Yeah, he turns into a superhero.
Yeah, because I think the radioactive material or something. I don't know. How come all these 80s games and movies and horror films back in the day always contain the radioactive material?
That was their out. They could say that and get away with anything.
Yeah, they'd be like, so how did this 7-headed monster happen? Well, see.
Radioactive.
Hey, he got that material on him. He got that material on him.
And that you could do Spider-Man like that, Ninja Turtles, any kind of radioactive ooze.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead, the movie. Yep. But yeah, the tank was so smooth.
Yeah, it was.
It was smooth, and the whole gameplay on Blaster Master was smooth. It's like how there were so many choppy games back in the day. Like for instance, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That thing is choppy. Mm-hmm. It runs slow sometimes. Blaster Master operates flawlessly.
Yeah, it does.
I'm telling you, they pulled everything that they could out of what the NES could do without overheating it, if you will.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? It handles it perfect. None of that lag shit, or at least I didn't see any. I like also how there's a health bar and power-ups. But again, there is no save points, and you got to beat it all in one sitting.
Good luck.
Yeah, so
Nintendo gives no fuck.
You got to really put the time in. This is back in the day when we had time. In the summer, you had all day.
There was games, if you started them, you had to beat them.
And those of you that are fans of Blaster Master, like I am, if you didn't know, they have reimagined, reproduced, and re-released this game on a couple different platforms. March 19th, 2017, Blaster Master Zero, a retro 8-bit style reboot of the original NES game, was released for the Nintendo 3DS.
That's cool.
eShop and the Nintendo Switch. You can get it on. A sequel, Blaster Master Zero 2, was released on March 20th, 2019 for the Switch. And a second sequel, Blaster Master Zero 3, was released in 2001 for the Switch.
So they got a whole trilogy of old school games.
Got a whole ass trilogy out here, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
When you play a game like this, you're like, yeah, they need to reimagine and redo it, but they already did it. I just didn't know.
We're always late.
Yeah, so it's really cool. If you really want this, if you're looking for the retro games reimagined, they're out there. Probably a lot more than we realize.
Yeah.
Just search it. Go to the store on the Switch and search for it. And a lot of times, there it is. Didn't know it was there. There it is.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to have to go check them out.
But yeah, Blaster Master, y'all, iconic game. Probably didn't get the love that it deserved. It does end up on a lot of top 50 lists. A lot of people show it respect, but it's kind of like after the fact.
Sort of a sleeper.
Yeah, it was a sleeper for sure. It was a dark horse. So yeah, what do y'all remember about Blaster Master?
When you guys play video games, is your game a cartridge or is it a disc?
What do you prefer?
Yeah.
Or
what do you play the most? What do you find yourself playing?
Well, obviously back in the day.
Or any, because a lot of people, that's why I wanted to talk about this, because a lot of people don't play either.
Oh, yeah, it's just all digital.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, back in the day, like, I was always, like, leaning towards liking cartridges.
I love cartridges.
You know what I mean? Because
physical forever.
Like, but I'm saying no, but like even like a CD or a disc.
Yeah, that's physical. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying like when it transitioned, when I had to go get my first game and it was a disc, oh no, I felt weird.
I understand what you're saying.
I was like, hey, what the fuck is this?
Well, the carts are durable as fuck.
And they just look cool. And
they look cool.
Like, but you have that disc, and it's almost like you put it in that box and never see it again.
Yeah.
When you don't play the game, they would just sit.
It's nowhere near as physically cool.
Like my little bin of Nintendo games when I was a kid was so cool.
Right. It doesn't hold the same nostalgic value.
Yeah. But I mean, I straight up transitioned into discs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of didn't have a choice when you went to PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know, PlayStation was disc. They came right out the gate.
Then Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, yeah. And then it kind of stayed that way other than Nintendo.
Then Xbox started like that.
And then GameCube, Nintendo tried to get in on it. They tried to come with the the Wii was also disc.
And then like now Nintendo Switch went back to the carts.
But I have a gripe with today's technology. Back in the day, remember, you go to Blockbuster, you bring home that cartridge, or even that CD for that matter, whatever, what have you.
The disc.
Yeah, the disc, whatever you have. You take that disc, you slap it in, you take that cart, you slap it in. 2 seconds later, you were at the start screen. 2 seconds later, you were already playing. You try to play a new Switch game now, you're not playing it today. You're not playing it today, or on the PlayStation 4, which is what I have. You're not playing it today. Or, you can play it, but come back in 2 hours.
Yep.
While it downloads, and then after it downloads, it has to install.
Or it has to update.
That's the worst. Like, this, every time I turn the Switch on, Fortnite is trying to update. And it shuts the whole shit down, which I know you can bypass it.
Yeah.
But the kids are like, I want to play Fortnite. And I'm like, well, come back in 17 hours.
Yeah, I had to do it. Me and Vinny tried to play MLB The Show today, the new one, and we started it up and immediately got the update screen. Yep. And it was like an 8 gigabyte update. I was like, oh, cool. That's
How fast did that work?
I mean, it took probably 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
but it's still an inconvenience.
It takes the steam out.
Like, you're like, oh, okay. And so we just went and looked at the store for a while, looked at new games.
Yeah.
But, it was cool.
But so me personally, I prefer the cartridges all day. The iconic NES carts, even the Super Nintendo carts, and I've grown to really love the Nintendo 64 carts.
Like you said earlier, like the physical. But today, man, I'm telling you, the digital downloads are the king.
They're absolutely
most
king.
Everybody, and you can tell that by like they're even stopping selling like physical copies in stores now. Like it's going to be a thing to where you might not ever buy a disc in a store. You'll go and buy like
a card,
a piece of paper that has that game. You go home, boom, it downloads into your system.
Yeah, you get a.
That's
code
the only way.
Something.
That's even crazier because you don't even need to go to the store anymore.
I know.
Like you can sit at home and bypass all that.
It's sad for real, but I mean,
I do it though. I feel the same way.
You have to.
I'm on the Switch for my kid or me or anything, and I'll be like, fucking just download it.
Yep. Well, I like
the convenience of it is so crazy.
What's the direction that everything's heading?
Yeah.
You know, another gripe with the digital is the amount of space that it takes up. You can only have a certain amount of games on there.
Yeah.
No matter how big it gets, because they're only making the games bigger. Like think about when that Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out.
Yeah, it definitely.
How big is that going to be?
It's a problem on there now.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking about that today, I had so many games in my, that are actually downloaded. Yeah. And it's getting full, bro. Like, so it's going to make people buy the bigger and bigger hard drives for games.
That's what I'm saying. Like on the Switch, they got like 5 games on there.
And download Zelda. Watch what happens.
You got to like pretty much get rid of like the Fortnite. They had to get rid of all kinds of shit just to make room for it. Yep. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm done playing this. I want to play this. Oh, well,
gotta uninstall this.
You got to uninstall something.
Yeah, you got to have like your starting 5.
Yeah, it's a never-ending cycle, and that sucks. You know that you can't just play whatever you want when you want. All right, y'all. Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo.
Man, we've been waiting for this one.
Man, how I don't understand how we've gotten this far into it and not covered it
I know.
yet.
This is like one of those low-hanging fruit.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Super Mario World is a 1990 platform game developed and published by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or the SNES. The player controls Mario on his quest to save Princess Peach and Dinosaur Land from the series' antagonists Bowser and the Koopalings.
Man.
The gameplay is similar to that of the earlier Super Mario games. Players control Mario through a series of levels in which the goal is to reach the goalpost at the end. Super Mario World introduces Yoshi, a rideable dinosaur who can eat enemies.
Changed the game.
Yeah, Yoshi.
Changed the game.
Really did.
That's what a marketable character.
I know, and it's crazy that he didn't come in until the fourth Super Mario game, which in Japan, this is known as Super Mario 4.
Yep.
But to us, it's Super Mario World here in America. The director was Takashi Tezuka. The producer of the game was Shigeru Miyamoto. The composer, none other than the iconic
The OG.
Koji Kondo, who has brought us so many timeless NES and SNES.
So many, bro.
Composed so many amazing songs.
This dude's like the soundtrack to your childhood.
He's like the Rick Rubin of Nintendo.
He is, bro. And this one specifically, he killed it. Like,
he was peaking.
Like, this was the best, like, out of all the Marios, man. This is one where, like, it changed the game.
He may have been microdosing something.
Yeah, so he was on something.
He might have been doing something because to get to this creative level.
Yeah, he was doing shit. You're like, what? Why does that work?
Like, how was this dude in the lab creating
he was in the lab, bro.
all of these songs for? I mean, bro, you had to be locked in. Like, you were changing the world, not the world, but you were changing the culture with these sounds.
He brought a world to life.
You were creating pop culture.
He had to be in some dungeon in Japan.
Bro, I just need to know. I need to talk to him. One time, somehow.
Man, who are you, bro?
Like,
are you real?
How dope would it be to get Koji Kondo on the podcast?
Man, that dude's legend. We should get a Koji Kondo poster.
We should.
To me, that's a strong move.
It is
to get like a Koji Kondo poster.
Just have him.
Nobody
chilling.
knows.
Just chilling.
Who's that?
Who's that guy?
Oh, you know him.
Yep.
Play him some of the shit.
You know him.
Play him some of the shit.
But you don't know him.
Yeah.
Shit. It was released August 23rd, 1991 in North America.
Man.
Super Mario World is often considered one of the best games in the series.
100%.
It's often considered one of the best
games ever.
I agree. Definitely on the Super Nintendo. I mean, there's no arguing with that. It's fantastic. Designed. It's just, I mean, it's squeezed everything that Super Nintendo
like you said, though, they were peaking.
Yeah.
At making games.
Right
everything.
now. They were peaking. They were microdosed. It sold more than 20 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling Super Nintendo game. Nintendo developed the game, led by director Takashi Tezuka and producer and series creator Shigeru Miyamoto.
I think it's cool that that's what I'm saying. Like that guy, they let that guy have a shot.
Yeah.
Because before it was always Shigeru.
Yeah, it was always Miyamoto. Yeah. Like, this is my baby.
They were like, hey, hold on, let's let this other dude see what he can do. Think about your first like real big job opportunity. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, follow Super Mario 3 up. Yeah. Good luck. Like, I would have. Here you go. I would have went into that thing the whole time being like, I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah. After that point, though, Shigeru was probably.
He needed to take a step back.
He was tired.
Yeah, well, he had a lot of other shit going on.
But, yeah, Super Mario World was the first Mario game for the Super Nintendo, obviously, and it was designed to make the most of the console's technical features. Yep. The development team had more freedom compared to the previous installments for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Yoshi was conceptualized during the development of the NES games, but it was not used until Super Mario World due to the hardware limitations.
Yeah, you can tell.
Which makes sense because Yoshi does a lot of shit.
You could not have done Yoshi back then. It would have been clunky.
Yeah, it really would have. You know,
they waited perfect.
Just being able to make the raccoon fly was a feat in itself.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was asking it to do too much.
I can sit there and hear the sound he used to get on Yoshi and all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's in your head.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Those
that,
sounds.
God, it killed it.
I still want to do a iconic retro gaming sound effects.
Yeah.
That would be one of them for sure. Him getting on and all that. But
so classic.
And yeah, it's the best selling game on the Super Nintendo. Classic game. I mean,
Hey, I wonder if we could show that over there.
What? Oh, shit. I can probably take it off.
Take a picture of it and put it up in the screen.
Yeah, we got a Nintendo Power over here.
Super Mario World with Yoshi.
We have Super Mario World on the cover, riding Yoshi. Didn't even realize this was right behind us. Check that out. Nintendo Power. Boom. Super Mario World.
The OG. Mario
riding Yoshi, y'all. Let me see the date on this thing. Volume 28. That's right. They used to not put
on the side.
Is it on the side?
Yep. Always over down at the bottom.
It just says volume 28. There was a few that were like this, I remember.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I remember there was a few that didn't have the dates on them. That's weird. But looking through a Nintendo Power is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
One of the most nostalgic things you could do is look through
It takes
Nintendo
you back
Power.
for sure.
My God, the ads and it's like a perfect time capsule and like a snapshot into what we were all doing back then. You can't find anything better. Super Mario World, classic game.
Man, it's still fun.
Where would I rank it on my all-time Super Mario Brothers games? Because we always talk about the first three because we talk about Nintendo and we try to keep the system separated. Yeah. But if you had to throw it in there, where would you throw it?
Are we doing like the way? Like to Switch?
Let's do from Nintendo 64 down.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Mario 64 and down.
64's got to be my favorite.
Oh, really?
Time.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just it's changed everything. Mm-hmm. Being able to be Mario and run around 3D. Like, there was no board. Yeah. Like, I did what I wanted. I could just sit there and slide down a hill if I wanted all day.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Like, it just, to me, that
open world.
Yeah, the open world Mario blew my mind. So, same with Zelda. Like, I thought, you could never get better than A Link to the Past. Mm-hmm. When I was playing Zelda on SNES. Yeah. And then when I got to play actual Zelda, you know what I mean? On 64, it's like, Jesus, this is amazing.
Yeah, so you'd put Mario 64 first.
Yeah.
And then where would you put Super Mario World? Would that be second?
I think I might have to give it second over 3.
Okay.
Just because of how much it was 3 and so much more. You know what I mean?
All right.
Well, it's almost the same game. Like, you do the same stuff.
Yeah.
But they threw a lot of little perks in there.
Currently I'd have to put 3 over Super Mario World, but I can probably change that at some point. I just need to dive a little deeper on Super Mario World. I didn't play it as much as I did 3.
Wait till you play it. Wait till you revisit it.
I revisit it often, but I need to take a real far run in it to get like a real gauge.
We should pick games like that for some game nights where we just did.
Yeah, try to beat deep. Try to get as far as we can.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, y'all. So Super Mario World. All right, y'all. Time to talk about the top 25 best-selling retro Nintendo games of all time. What do I mean by retro Nintendo games? We're talking NES, we're talking Super Nintendo, we're talking Nintendo 64, and the GameCube. That's it. So let's get right into it, y'all. Number 25, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker on the GameCube sold 4.4 million copies.
Coming in at 25.
Number 24, The Legend of Zelda,
Man.
A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo sold 4.6 million.
I thought that'd be higher.
When I read that it only sold 4 million, I was a little shocked. I thought this would be one of those ones that was definitely top 10, if not top 5. Number 23, Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64 sold 4.8 million copies.
That game has a life too.
There is a solid existing fan base out there
for sure
for Diddy Kong, but it sold 200,000 more than A Link to the Past.
That's wild.
I don't know about that. Number 22, Dr. Mario on the NES sold 4.85 million copies. This game right here
has a cult following.
It's like the Mario version of Tetris or some shit. Number 21, Donkey Kong on the Nintendo 64 sold 5.2 million. Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong, and they did an amazing job at 5.2 million. Number 20, Pokemon Stadium on the Nintendo 64 sold 5.4 million.
Big game.
When I started looking into Game Boy games and all that, man, Pokemon was like the top 5 on the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, all of the Game Boys, Game Boy Color, it was all Pokemon games. Zillions of games sold on Pokemon.
Yeah.
Number 19, Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64 sold 5.5 million. This is a fun-ass game.
It's a great idea for a game.
Just a fighting game where you beat the shit out of each other.
With your characters you've grown up with.
Number 18, Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube sold 5.91 million.
Man, Mario's still doing it on GameCube.
Wait till you see all these Marios that are on this list. The amount of money that Mario's brought into
It's
Nintendo
ridiculous.
is insane. Number 17, Street Fighter II,
The
World
World
Warrior on the Super Nintendo sold 6.3 million copies.
That's cool.
That's the highest of any of like Mortal Kombat's or Killer Instinct.
Fighting games like
It's
that.
the highest fighting game like that on this list. Number 16, The Legend of Zelda on the NES sold 6.5 million copies. This is one of the most legendary games of all time, and it kicked off an epic franchise
It did.
that is still massive today. One of our favorite games.
Yeah,
that has
to me, I
ever-
could see it being bigger. More.
I'm surprised that it didn't sell more than 6.5. But you got to think, this was early.
Mm-hmm.
This was a new game at the time. You know, we didn't know what we know now.
And it was hard. No one was
6.5
getting this game and like, I beat it in a week.
This was a labor of love.
Yeah.
Number 15, Super Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube sold 6.96 million copies.
Man, Mario Kart is still selling.
Mario Kart is an amazing franchise, and if I'm being completely honest, I enjoy playing the Mario Kart games more now than I do the Super Mario games. Number 14, Super Mario Brothers 2 on the NES
Man.
sold 7.4 million copies. It is the classic reskin of the Japanese Doki Doki Panic. It's the dark horse in the Super Mario Brothers
definitely
family.
is.
It's often shit on by people.
It's so good.
We love this game.
Yeah.
Number 13, Super Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube sold 7.4 million copies. A lot of this list is connected directly to Mario or Zelda, you know. Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros. These people are geniuses. Number 12, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time
Man.
on the Nintendo 64 sold 7.6 million copies.
That game was so fun, dude.
It felt different.
That's when I knew what games would be today.
That was a peek into the future
You're
for
like,
sure.
oh, I'm really this guy.
Number 11, Tetris on the NES sold 8 million. This is a weird metric here. If you look at the overall sales of Tetris, it's like, I'm not exaggerating, like 80 million or something crazy. That's all on the Game Boy. NES sold 8 million Tetris games, and everyone I know had the game.
Yeah.
You had to have it. It was just a staple. Number 10, and I love it. I love it so much. GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64 sold 8 million copies. It was a groundbreaking multiplayer shooter game, paved the way for many of your favorites today.
Yep.
And both modes are great. You have the 4-player mode where you can chase each other around and shoot each other, which was groundbreaking and
Man.
developed in only 2 months, by the way. And then the story mode. Both were great. Number 9, Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo sold 8.7 million copies. This started everything for the Mario
That's
Kart.
the one, bro.
This is the OG.
This is when Nintendo was like, oh, we're getting in the racing game. You want to throw shells? You want to throw bananas?
Yeah, they dropped an iconic franchise on us with that one.
Yeah.
Number 8, Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo sold 9.3 million copies. I thought we were in the future when this shit dropped.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong was cool, man.
The commercials were crazy. The graphics were crazy. Even if you look at like Super Mario World, comparatively speaking to Donkey Kong Country, they're not the same.
Yeah, it looked cooler.
Like Super Mario World looks cool. It looks like a better version of the existing Super Mario
Yeah.
games. Donkey Kong Country looked like some next level shit.
It really utilized the new system.
It was a precursor to the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, it looked like it could be on 64.
Yo, I'm sitting here editing this video right now, and I don't even know what to say. We just flat out skipped number 7. We skipped it. We skipped it. It's not, we don't have it. But it was Mario Kart 64, and it sold a lot. Number 6, Super Mario All-Stars. This one surprised me on the Super Nintendo. 10.5 million copies. I don't know if that's because maybe they launched it with the Super Nintendo, which you'll see here in a minute. There's a game on here that doesn't deserve to be on the list, but it is because it launched.
Well, I can see why that did, because I think it was so far removed that people then got to go buy this game and can play every Mario. It was appealing to in that fact. Like, it wasn't the new shit. And I get this incredibly hard levels.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the real Super Mario 2, The Lost Levels, which was dope that they released
Hard
that.
as hell.
Number 5, Super Mario 64, coming in at 11.9 million copies.
We're going to give them 12. That game changed it for me.
That was one of them ones. The graphics can't get any better.
Yep. And it was so different from all the other ones.
Yeah, they reinvented themselves a lot with Mario.
They could have just kept doing the side-scrolling bullshit.
They really took chances.
They're like, watch this.
Yeah. Number 4, the iconic Super Mario 3 on the NES sold 18 million copies. And honestly, I thought it would be more. But 18 million is a lot.
Yeah.
If you really put that in perspective, that is a lot
On the
of units.
NES.
What can you say? It's Mario 3. Everyone knows.
Self-explanatory.
Number 3, Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo sold 20.6 million, often referenced as the best Mario game of all time. Classic game, the introduction of Yoshi. He was developed for the first 3 games, but they couldn't do him yet because of the limitations of the NES. And here he is showing up on this game and just taking it to the next level. And it looks like Yoshi probably gonna get a movie soon. Number 2, and this is what I was talking about. Number 2, best-selling retro Nintendo game of all time is Duck Hunt on the NES, coming in at 28.3 million copies sold.
They count that every time consoles bought.
The reason why this is number 2 is because everyone has that combo, that Mario Duck Hunt combo. And they also have that Mario Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet combo.
That was later.
You could also buy Duck Hunt individually.
Yeah. That's the cool one.
It's not responsible for those 28.3
No way.
million
I
copies.
bet it's drastically different.
Talk about reaping the benefits.
I bet they're not even near this list. Fun game, cool. And
Oh, not hating on the game.
like fun, cool, amazing concept,
Right.
but it's not my favorite game.
Duck Hunt, you're an imposter on this list, but damn it, you're number 2. Number 1, I think we just gave that away, what that is. The number 1 best-selling retro Nintendo game of all time is the OG Super Mario Brothers on the NES, sold 40.2 million copies. This shit changed the game.
This whole list has this game to thank.
Where would we be without it?
It launched a brand that is still kicking today.
I wish we could run an experiment where you pluck Super Mario Brothers out of
See what
gaming
happened.
and see where everything else went, and if it would have gone there or not.
I mean, look at this list. This is also inflated by that console.
Every time you bought a console, you got a Super Mario Brothers game, but I truly believe it would have been close because it was epic. We talk about those moments a lot where, oh, that's when you knew it changed. But seriously, when you saw Super Mario Brothers on your television in the 80s and you were able to play it sitting right there, it was just a moment and a feeling that could never be recreated. No. Think about that. You'll never feel that again because everything that came after that, even as awesome as the games eventually became on the NES, you kind of expected it after you played Mario that first time, or you understood. Mm-hmm. There it is, y'all.
Good list.
Top 25 best-selling retro Nintendo games of all time. All right, y'all, that's the show. Thank y'all for listening.
Yep.
We had some good topics today.
Yeah, it was good.
I really like talking about Pee Wee Herman.
Man, I think some of those are really nostalgic today.
Yeah, I think we hit our vein.
Yeah, we were
real
in
good
it.
today.
Yeah.
Do us a favor. Go to wherever you listen to the podcast, like Apple Podcast or Spotify. Give us a rating. Leave us a review if you feel inclined to do so.
Mm-hmm. We appreciate it.
It really helps. Like, you ever went to like a podcast and it didn't have a lot of ratings and you're just like, I don't know.
Probably not that great.
Yeah, why ain't anybody listening to it? So we're starting to get it now because I've mentioned it a couple times. So hey, help us out, y'all. We want to grow this.
We
thing.
appreciate the love, man.
And we are growing. Every podcast we put it out grows, a little more people listen to it than the last one. So I appreciate.
We'll try to get them out faster, but we some old dads living life.
I know it's annoying. I know y'all are waiting for them. There's one I still haven't even edited.
We're
doing this one.
We wish we could quit our jobs.
Yeah, but until then, we just got to power through it.
Power through.
We're
We're getting them in.
The
topics are coming.
That's
we got
right.
so many.
Yeah. So superretropod@gmail if you want to email. We are a bunch of old farts, so you can still email.
Yep.
Or send us messages anywhere.
Check the website out.
Yeah.
It's still booming.
Superretropod.com. Superretropod.com. We have merch. More merch is on the way at some point. What else we got, Will? We forget anything?
I think that's it.
That's it, y'all. Until next time.
See ya.
Keep it retro, y'all.